Welcome to Amplifying Recruitment. In this episode, I'm joined by Nicholas Thomas, the owner and founder of EverHire. Nicholas started in recruitment just 5 years ago, and now he finds himself at the end of his first year of owning a business and doing over £1 million in revenue in that first year. They've already have 2 branches, one here and one in Sweden. They've got plans for a 3rd and 4th branch. And in this episode, Nick talks about what it takes to be a successful business owner, what it takes to be a successful recruiter, and he dives really deep into work ethic and what that looks like for him as a business owner, but also for his team. Nicholas, thanks for joining us.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Before we dive into the conversation, will you just give, for anyone that doesn't know you, a bit of an intro into you and your background and how you've got to, maybe up until the point of where you got to with EverHire?
Sure. So a lot of people say that they fell into recruitment. I definitely didn't fall into it. I absolutely picked to do it. When I left university, I knew that I wanted to go into something that I could make a lot of money in. So I remember Googling like what are the 5 highest paying jobs in the city. One of them was like investment banking. One of them was like stockbroking. My ex-girlfriend at the time was an investment banker, so I was like, I'm not going to do that. For the broking, I saw things about you had to study for another 2 years to get a license, and at that point I was kind of done with education, and somewhere on the list was recruitment. So I looked it up, kind of looked into that, and then thought, yeah, cool, I'll do that. Went and worked at a big kind of corporate multinational recruiter. I did quite well there, and then always kind of had the aspiration to start my own business. And then last year now, took the kind of jump to go and do it, and I would never ever look back at that decision and not be glad that I did that. And yeah, it's been very, very good. We've opened 2 international offices in our first year, one in Stockholm, and then we've got one in where I'm from, Essex, which is a very kind of Essex sales office. But we've done pretty well. In our first 12 months, we've done just about £1 million, and we're set for a very, very big year next year.
Wonderful. And just feel like you say next year, we're recording this at the very, very tail end of 2024.
Yes. Okay. In about 7 days.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So could you just give us some time frame of that then? Mm-hmm. So from the starting in recruitment to launching EverHire, how long was that?
I started in 2018, I believe, is when I graduated from university, and I got my job in, I'm pretty sure I started in the January of, no, I got the job November, December 2018, and then, yeah, started about 2019. Worked at a big corporate for 4 years, 4.5 years. I had 7 promotions during that time. I was actually the fastest to ever get promoted that quickly there. And then after that, I went and worked at another business where I was a permanent director. But during my time at that business, I generated a lot of revenue in a short space of time. Like, this was a non-billing team that had not made money. And there's about 10 of them all kind of looking at me like, what do we do? How do we make money? A big part of leadership is like, you just got to pretend like you know what you're doing. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. But as long as you do it with enough confidence, people buy into it. But then we made something great. I think it's like 400k in like 3 months or 4 months, and it's kind of a light bulb moment. Hold on a minute, why am I not doing this for myself? But all in all, it's about 5 years of starting out as a graduate consultant, working up, recruitment consultant, senior principal, team manager, yada yada, director to where I am today now.
Cool. Okay, so that's pretty quick. Like, and I say quick, like compared to most recruitment journeys, mm-hmm. from trainee to mm-hmm. business founder and doing fantastic numbers after your first year. That's a pretty quick journey, right?
Well, 2 things I'd say on that. My first ever recruitment manager I ever had, I'll shout him actually, it's a guy called Matthew Moyes, very good. But he used to drill me every single day, like, always back yourself, always back yourself, always back yourself. And if I ever was hesitant about something or wasn't sure, he'd really drill that into me, like, you've got to back yourself, back yourself, back yourself, back yourself. And that's something that I've always kept with me. And I suppose that's kind of helped just going into the unknown and like taking these leaps and just going for it. But with recruitment, from what I've seen, as long as you're absolutely focused on like the quality of the work that you're doing and every single day improving yourself. And if things do go wrong, like taking a second to reflect back, why did that go wrong? What can I improve? What can I do better? Then you can have quite fast progression. I think the only time people really stall is when they get a bit too comfy and stop pushing themselves and they're kind of happy earning 60, 70, 80 grand a year, and I think that'll do. That's all right for some people, but like for me, like it's always where's next. Like even now, after this first year, I could be like, oh great, like we've done amazing, but I'm already thinking, right, what's next? What are we doing next year? How are we pushing harder? How are we going to get bigger? How are we going to get another office? So I think it comes down to a bit of having that kind of mindset as well.
It's interesting what you talk about there. So I was having a conversation with someone last week about, I think it's called like the 5 stages to change.
Mm-hmm.
As we were talking about it, I thought you can apply some of that to like recruitment and certainly starting a recruitment business. And the 5 concepts they spoke about is like stage 1 is like the dream. So like you end up planning, like which lots of people do. Everyone gets to that stage. Oh, wish I could have my own business. I wonder what that'd look like. And then you get to like this bit of the leap. So that's where you actually go and do it. And then you move into like the messy middle where it's all a bit chaotic. You're too far in to turn back, but you can't see the end of the road yet. But the bit that I'm interested in or really curious about is that leap, because so many people don't do that. Like you say, back yourself, but lots of people don't. And there's lots of very capable people that don't. What was the catalyst for that? Because you just to, like you said there, we did 400 grand in 3 months, and I would imagine that you earned incredibly well from that. You were probably being paid not 60, 70, 80 grand. You're probably earning way more money. So is it about money? Is it something else? What's the catalyst, and how did you make the decision?
One thing, again, I'm just throwing out quotes here right now, but I do believe it. Like if you're waiting for the right time, like you'll be waiting forever. There's never a right time to do anything. I was in a fortunate position where I just got a new house, so like I didn't need to worry about like getting mortgages or saving up deposits or anything like that. I still don't. I don't have any kids, so I didn't have to worry about like mouths to feed. And for me, I kind of saw as being quite young as like an advantage. I've got all this energy that I need to use. I don't have all these crazy commitments. And I always think about what would my future self in 5 years think of the actions and decisions that I'm making today. Because if I look back at the actions and decisions I made 5 years ago, I'm super proud of all of them. No, could I have done better? Yes. But I wasn't conscious of that when I was that young. But now I'm really always thinking about that. What would my future self think of the stuff that I'm doing today? And that really kind of led into, would my future self be happy looking back and watching myself sit here and think, what if? Or would I have more respect for myself if I went out, did it? And even if it all went pear-shaped and went terribly, at least I give it a go.
Yeah, I love that. I really like that a lot. So we've got to this point, 5 years, you've taken a leap, back yourself, EverHire is born. Fantastic first year.
Not too bad.
What's the plans for 2025 and beyond?
Well, can't say too much because you've got to keep your cards close to your chest. No, I'm only joking. We've opened this year one office in Stockholm, which since leaving Europe, it's actually very hard for a British person to do, but we did manage to do it. We've just had a new office built in the UK, which was a real kind of like wow moment for me. Like I was almost like in tears, like looking at it, being so proud because like we've had this whole office built for us. Not the structural integrity of the building. I'm talking about the fit out. Maybe one day we'll have a whole building built. But that was a real kind of like wow moment. But part of our plan for next year is to focus on that. So I really want to grow. Well, not really. I will grow the Swedish office. I want to get that to about 10 people next year and have all of our Swedish business functioning purely from Sweden. Then we want to do the same in Denmark, which is a big plan for us. But we do everything starting from the UK office, grow the business and get revenue coming in and build a reason to have the office there, then open the location. And then finally, the US is big for us and we really need to double down on that over the next 12 months so that we can then open an office there, not this year, but the following year.
Amazing, big plans.
Yes.
I'm interested to know, so you got a couple of people in Sweden, and I'm fortunate enough to have met a couple of them. They're lovely people. How does you just tell me a bit about like the cultural nuances? So you described a very Essexy office, right? And I kind of think I know what that means as a Londoner, but that's in stark contrast to how people behave in Sweden. Right?
Absolutely different. Yeah, complete different. Say in Sweden, for example, like, and this is even pre-COVID. Like, this isn't like a new thing for Sweden. Like, if it's 1 o'clock on a Wednesday and you say I've got to go, see you later, like that's absolutely fine in Sweden, and that is culturally appropriate there. Whereas, can you imagine working at a London recruitment company and 1 o'clock on a Wednesday saying, "Sorry guys, got to go, got to do something, see you later"? Like, you'd be absolutely hung out to dry. But there are quite a lot of cultural differences. But I think any time you want to grow a business internationally, you can't just go around and say, well, this works in England, this is how we do it. And the best approach is really to have a blend of all of the cultures that you have within the business, so that it is a kind of unique culture to your business, but it's appropriate for the culture that they have locally. But it is very different. Not saying it's in a bad way, 'cause sometimes this term's taken badly in recruitment, but it's definitely a lot softer in Sweden. It's in the UK, that's a lot more like bullish, like how you'd imagine a sales office. But it's just slightly different approaches on how to manage people and get the best out of people. What works for a British person might not work for a Swedish person. Same as I'm sure when we go to look at Denmark, what a Danish person might be used to might be different to a Swedish person. But we have hired people at a very senior level who are Swedish and have worked for some of our biggest clients previously for 20, 30 years, to make sure that we are doing what is right locally and culturally appropriate.
And how do you prepare for that? So how much of that was it a surprise when, like, on a Wednesday someone went, "Nick, I'm off now. It's 1 o'clock. I've got to pick up my dog." Was that a surprise? Were you prepared for?
Yeah, it was a real learning curve for me, because I'll probably get slated for saying this, but like, I don't believe in sick days. I don't believe in like coming in late. I don't believe in all. And this is different because it's my company. So bear this in mind. This isn't the comments of an employee. This is comments of a business owner. But I will work every single day from the moment I wake up till the moment I go to sleep. Even if I'm trying to do something to not work, say like I love Arsenal Football Club, I go all the time, I will find myself sat in the seat missing a goal because I'm thinking about work, replying to an email. So it's all I can think about. But it is quite difficult to adjust to that. But then you're not going to be able to grow a business if you're just trying to create 100 carbon copies of yourself. God, it's enough having one of me in a room. Like, I would not want 50 of me in a room. It'd be awful. I'd hate it. Like, I wouldn't want to work there. Yeah. And it's good to embrace the differences of each employee, because they all can offer something different to the business.
Cool. Okay. Something else that you mentioned as you were going through like the plans, you talk about headcount a lot. So you're like, we're going to get Sweden to 10 people. We're going to get here to this many people. That's in contrast to what I've heard some other people saying more recently, that actually lots of recruitment businesses won't grow through headcount. They'll grow through efficiencies and increased billings. But you've gone the other way with that. Will you just give me like your thoughts around that?
One, it's the kind of recruitment that we do. So we do a lot of RPO. Like, that's where the business really is today. Like, in our first year, we've sold 3 RPOs, which is pretty, as far as I know, pretty good for a startup company. But how we sell it and the deliverables that we sell and sign on a service level agreement, like, we need the staff to deliver on that. And not saying that we're signing rubbish RPOs where the fees are 4k each. Like, it's still good, decent fees across a lot of positions, but due to how we sell this and how we position this, we need to make sure we've got the headcount to deliver on that. Because with RPOs, like, we're competing against companies that are 50 times our size, and unless you can offer a better customer experience or better deliverables or access to different kinds of candidates, like you're not going to win that work, and that's where we want to be. So that's kind of the biggest part of the headcount thing. But also, I suppose it's a little bit of an old. I'm not even that old, to be honest, but I feel like I was taught in like the old methods of recruitment. And I view my job as a leader is to get as many people billing and earning good money and growing the company. It's also just fun. Like, I know there's a lot of these boutique companies, like nothing against that. I've got a few friends who own them and they make even more money than me. But a big part of it for me is having that big company where it's fun and like everyone's buzzing, everyone's making lots of money, we're doing great work, clients are happy, we're traveling around the world visiting all our clients. Like, that's a big appeal for me, and it's also a selling point for people that want to come and work for us.
I've not had too many people say fun. Do you know, that's a really interesting concept, but I think that's a really important concept. Actually, for me personally, like, things have to be fun. Otherwise, I'm not interested. Well, and I love that.
Yeah, well, you think about it. Like, I used to live for the weekend, which is really silly when you think about it. The weekend's 2 days of the week. The week's 5. Like, why not have fun in the 5 days and then do whatever in the 2 days? Because then that's a much larger part of your life that you're having fun. But I think your job, like, should be fun. If someone turned around to me and said that they didn't enjoy their job, or they weren't having fun, or they weren't happy, like, I wouldn't turn around and be pissed off or fuming at them. Like, I'd be really deeply upset that I'm not allowing them a place where they can be happy, can have fun, can make lots of money, can do all of this. But then also on the flip side, it isn't for everyone. Like, some people will not find recruitment fun. Like, and there's nothing you can do that will make them to find that fun. But it's all about what that kind of person is like.
Yeah. Okay. Just tying in with some of the stuff you've spoken about here, I remember seeing a LinkedIn post from you.
Oh, God.
And it was when you were with the first business.
Yeah.
And I was delivering some training there at the time.
Yeah.
And in fact, you were managing a couple of the trainees.
Yeah.
And I saw a post from you on LinkedIn, and it had been posted quite late at night.
Yeah.
It was dark outside, and you took a picture of the office, and you put on there, last one to leave, first one to retire. I don't know if you remember that. It was a good few years ago. And I suppose it brings up this question around like work ethic. And you mentioned it there that, like, I don't have days off, I don't have sick days. Yeah. I'll work while I'm sat at Arsenal. How does that feed into the rest of your organisation? So, like, your work ethic, I suppose, is unquestionable. Do you know something else I've just had a flashback to as well? I remember that business, the same business. I remember you telling me about when they were, during COVID, when they were furloughing people, and you were adamant, please do not furlough me. I will work. Pay me 80% or whatever the thing was at the time, but I want to work. Yeah, was a real big driver for you. So, like I said, your work ethic is unquestionable. I think it.
Thank you.
It's at a level that most people don't get to, right, or don't wish to, or whatever the thought process. But how does that feed into the rest of the business?
Well, it's tough because you want everyone to really have the same values and drive as yourself, but you can't do that unless you give them part of the business. So I do a lot, and we are doing a lot more next year to give real parts of the business to employees so that they also feel like it is part of them as well, and they own a part of that company, so they have the same amount of pride and the same amount of work ethic. But it's difficult because you can't expect everyone to have the same value when they're an employee. Like, it's just completely unrealistic. Did I have that value when I was an employee? Yes, I did. Have I got some employees that are the same as that now? Yeah, absolutely, I do. I've got one guy. He's 20 years old. He's earned, it's something like £28,000 I've paid him November and December. At 20 years old, in 2 months, he's earned gross, just to be clear, not net, gross. Does he work? Absolutely. He's the hardest. He works harder than me. Makes me. I feel lazy around this guy. But you can't force everyone to work the same exact way as you and to have the same drive. But if you do want to have people motivated, it's all about finding out what the individuals, what their motivations and their values are. But it's not like, oh, they want to make loads of money, or oh, they want this material thing. It's more about like, what is it that they actually want to achieve in life? Like, some people just want to be able to work a nice 9 to 5, go on 2 nice holidays a year, you know, save up a nice pension and get a few nice Christmas presents for people in at Christmas. If that's what someone wants to do and they're happy with that, that's absolutely fine. Like, that's what they want to do. And you can't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be trying to change their fundamental values. But then you might have some people that do have these big motivations and big dreams where they want to have a team of 15, they want to be a director, they want to expand the business, they want to open an office. But it's all about going into their individual values, making sure that you're motivating them using them, not what your values are, and trying to force that onto other people.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really valid opinion, right? You've got a successful business with people working incredibly hard and earning a hell of a lot of money, being very successful, what is often deemed as successful in recruitment. So I think your opinion is...
And just on the money, like, I want to be honest, I don't want everyone to think we've got to come anywhere which print money. Like, don't get me wrong, some people aren't earning great because they're new and they haven't got set up yet and they haven't got clients. We've got some people earning absolutely loads, but it is a blend of the two. I just don't want to give a false kind of promise I'm some Jordan Belfort type of character where everyone's making more money than they know what to do with.
Yeah.
But we do have massive earners. We do have some trainees not earning so much. So
okay, so on that then, so and just so I'm right, just so I'm clear here, that a lot of the people in your business have joined you as trainees,
yes,
right, and then progressed on. So how do you set those people up for success?
Ooh, big question. In summary, and if you want to go into these points, we can, and I'm sure you will, but I think you first need to look at the onboarding. What's the onboarding like? It's very, very, very important that that's done as well as possible, because that's setting the precedent and the impression that they're going to have of the company. The first 12 weeks that they're spending with a business, what does that look like? How much kind of classroom training, how much on desk training, how much support are they getting from the seniors around them? Then with coaching from, well, right now we do it both myself and other seniors within the business. And then what I encourage is like self-review and self-analysis. Like, if someone comes to me and says XYZ is wrong, XYZ doesn't work, this isn't good, I probably won't even respond to them, because I haven't even had the thought of trying to think of a solution. If someone comes to me and said, look, I've tried this, I've tried that, this hasn't worked, I'm thinking of doing this, I'm thinking of doing that, I'll sit there and talk to them for 3 hours, because they're showing the initiative to try and solve their problems. But in summary, it's those points that I think are the most important things for setting a trainee up for success.
Okay, like I'll come on to the self-reflection bit, because I think there's a lot of personal ownership that has to happen there. So talk me through like the when you say onboarding, what period are we talking about?
For me, the onboarding starts before they start with a company. Like, it's really pretty much from as soon as you're like extending offers or accepting offers, because you're setting the impression of your business from that point. You're setting it from as soon as you interview, but really when you're getting offers out is when you need to start really thinking about that. Are you getting stuff out on time? Is it matching everything that you've said? Like, it's not a good idea to say in the interview you're going to offer something and offer slightly less on the offer when they've accepted it. So really the onboarding process for me starts from there. Then is the kind of touch points and contact points you're having with them leading up to their first day. On their first day, it's little things like, is their laptop all ready for them? Is all of their desks set up? Are they sitting there trying to log into some email account which they don't know the password to, and you haven't bothered to find out yourself either? So it's all about having it as smooth and as nice as possible. Other things that we do always take them out for lunch a few times in the first week, really try and integrate them with the team, make them feel welcome. And then there's a lot as well about getting home, like what the values of the company are and what it means to be an employee at EverHire. but they should know this from the interview process. But again, it's just kind of reiterating that. But for me, the onboarding process is from when you're getting offers out right through till kind of 2 weeks into the job.
Everything you've just described there sounds so simple, but it's something that gets devalued, I think, or pushed to one side in so many businesses.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing is as well, when you're running a company and there's not loads and loads of you, it is hard to do. Like, even just to remember to do all these things, or to get the nice branded water bottles ordered from to be on their desk for their first day, that kind of stuff. But it makes a big difference. But it makes them feel like they're part of something. They're part of the company. They're welcome. We want them there. But yeah, it's a little thing, but people remember the little details. That's the things that they remember. Like you mentioned, you like the embroidery on my cuffs here. Like I bet you the little thing you remember is that little detail. But it's little details that people remember. So you should really focus on doing as good job on those as you can.
All right, lovely. So we like big tick, onboarding's done, like everything's as it should be, and then we're into the real stuff. The first 12 weeks, as you said. What does that look like?
So first of all, we're really doing a lot to teach them about how we work as a company, what's our way of doing recruitment, what's our values. We don't just throw people on the phone, and that we're a very phone-driven business. I publicly have said a lot that we still absolutely smash the life out of cold calling, but we don't do that with new starters because there's no point in just absolutely knocking their confidence from day one and making them not feel so great. So first kind of few days is definitely a lot of classroom-based training, fundamentals of recruitment, how we do recruitment, really kind of like a 101 basics of recruitment. After that, we do a lot of stuff where they're kind of on desk but shadowing other consultants. I'm such a big believer of the most that you will learn in recruitment is from the people that are around you. And why you will learn the most from them is because that's stuff that is working right now, live in this second. Like if your colleague next to you pitches to a candidate and gets the CV, like that is working right now in this second. Like why not try that? Why not try and adapt that into your own style? So they'll do a lot sitting around. But when they're shadowing, like we want them to be like taking notes, like writing down things they like, writing down things they might have questions on, and we'll review this after and go through kind of their findings and give them any advice or guidance that they need. This will happen for about the first week or two, depending on like the ability of the individual. Then after that, fairly standard, we'll get them started on some candidate calls. I do not let anyone go to market ever without first having great product. No kind of dodgy sales calls where they're pitching stuff that is made up. Like A-star great product first. If that takes them 4 weeks, if it takes them 8 weeks, whatever, I don't care. But they need to have that great product first, because my view is, as a recruiter, you're judged purely on your product. And our product is our service. Like, we're not selling cars or IT systems where all we need to do is make the sale and then we're judged on the quality of a product made by someone else. In recruitment, we're solely judged on the quality of our product, which is our service. So it's completely up to us to make sure that that's the absolute best. So get the product. Once we've got the product, we want to make sure that they do have some understanding of the kind of projects we work with, why we'd work with those candidates, the kind of locations that we work in, the differences in the job titles, really all of the kind of, not in depth, but they need to have an understanding of the technical aspect of our market. And then once we've got the product, we will go to market with that, because we're quite lucky, and I shouldn't say someone's going to steal our market, but we're quite lucky in the market that we work in. But I do think a lot of other markets are like this as well, is where if you do have very good product, people are going to be interested. It's just about then teaching them the way to identify and engage with the right people, not the wrong people that are just going to shut them down.
Okay. And how structured is that first 12 weeks? Because you said there, like, they get it in 4.
Yeah,
it's
pretty structured. We use a thing called Coda. I don't know if you've heard of it. There's about 10 million technologies out there you can use nowadays, but we use Coda, but it's quite a nice like interactive thing where we can put all of the notes from all of our training. It's got a whole company handbook done into like really easy, like clickable, like visually pleasing things. It's got all our HR handbook. You can request leave, you can do everything, but it's all set out on there from them from day one. We don't just shove them in front of a computer and go, here's your 12 weeks training. But it's pretty structured where there is a plan for them from day one, so they can look on their first day and know exactly what they're going to be doing in 12 weeks. So it is quite structured, yes.
Something that occurred to me as you were talking through that first 12 weeks, most of what I learned in recruitment, or that the really good stuff I learned early on, came from exactly how you described. It's osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
You hear someone else do something, you go, oh God, I'm nicking that.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do that. So, and the flip side of that, right? Going, oh my gosh, that was awful. I'm never doing that bit, right? And this is one of my biggest challenges. Not that I run a recruitment business.
I'm sure you could.
Do what you have to do. But if I was running a recruitment business, one of the fears I would have about bringing trainees in and them working from home would be the lack of that learning through osmosis. How does that work in your business?
Well, we don't do much working from home. To be fair, I say that, but I'm very lenient if you're a top performer. If you work at EverHire and you're above budget for the quarter, you get a 4-day working week, so you can have every Friday off if you like. You can have completely flexible like working hours. You can have completely flexible working from home. If you're above budget for the quarter. If you're not above budget for the quarter, then yeah, you're in the office 5 days a week. But I'm not. I mean, Amazon have just made all their employees go back 5 days a week, haven't they? Will it last forever? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, in my opinion, when I started, I was 5 days a week in the office as well, and I think having that again is something that helped me develop so fast. Because like when you're sat at home on your own as a trainee. Not that I ever was, but I imagine it'd be absolutely terrible. Like you're just there, like what, you have a bad call, you're like, oh my God, I'm so bad, like I can't do this, like God, let's go on Indeed and look for a different job, maybe I'll do something else. Like, but if you're just around other people, like you have that bad call, you're like, it's all right, mate, don't worry, no worries, happens to all of us. Bang, move on, done. But yeah, so in summary, if you're a top performer with me, or above budget for the quarter, you pretty much get free reign. You're like king of the castle, do what you want. You're doing what I expect, so do whatever you like. If you're not on target, then yeah, 5 days a week in the office.
So just to be clear, these guys, first 12 weeks, setting them up for success, they're in the office.
Yeah. I'd no working from home for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
But I'm very clear on that. I don't like give them a false promise. When I interview someone, I'll be honest, 90% of the interview is me saying to them, this is really hard, you're going to hate it, you're not going to like it, it's so hard, you're going to be there on Sunday thinking, God, why don't I do a different job? You're going to have days where you absolutely hate it, it's going to be so shit for a year, like it takes a year to achieve anything, yada, yada, yada. But then if they still want it after that, then I'm like, all right, fair enough, we'll give it a go. But yeah, I'm very clear during interviews, no working from home for 6 months.
Okay, all right. And then what? And then the next bit. So we've got the onboarding, got the first 12 weeks, and then you've got the coaching part. You just tell me, like, I'm a massive advocate for coaching as a leadership tool, as a model for developing performance. What does that look like?
I think there's an important thing that needs to be said on this at first, and there's a very big difference between actively coaching someone and micromanaging someone. I think I've seen in businesses I've worked at before where someone thinks they're coaching someone, but actually just stood over their shoulder waiting for them to make a mistake to penalise them on it. Which is not coaching, and if that's going to just slow down the consultant so much, not their confidence, terrible, like do not do that. Coaching should be used as a thing where if you are there with the consultant, they're grateful that you're there because they know you're not looking to find faults in their work, you're looking to find ways that they can improve, and you can constructively give them that feedback. I think it's quite important to have this as really like a day-to-day thing of the business. So we do it all the time, like every day. Like for me as the leader of the business, I make sure I've got diary blockers 2 a day, every day in my calendar, no matter how busy I am, to make sure I just go around, like listen to what people are doing, again, not trying to find faults, but just trying to see if we can give any advice and any help. But in my opinion, the coaching and like the live feedback and following that approach is much better than anything that we teach them like in a classroom.
Amazing. Okay, and then the final bit is the self-reflection. And my business coach said something to me years ago, and she said this to me, and I've repeated it in so many training sessions, hundreds of training sessions now, to recruiters, and that is everything is your fault. And then if it's not your fault, it's definitely your responsibility. I think that can apply to pretty much everything, right, in business and for recruiters. And that's a huge nudge towards self-reflection. Like so just tell me about how that works how do you encourage that at EverHire?
So it's something that I didn't really, again, think about too much a few years ago. I did when I'm sure similar to what most people do. Like when I had a monthly review or a quarterly review, I'd do the self-reflection that my manager asked me to do, but I wouldn't really be like looking at myself. Like, am I happy with myself? Is what I'm doing in my career leading towards my personal goals? So I'd say over the last 2 years, it's been something that I've been very big on myself, and it is something that we drive in the business quite a lot. Every week where we do our one-to-ones, for example, it's not a one-to-one where we're asking them to kind of highlight all their mistakes, everything that they've done wrong. It's really tailored and focused around making that consultant like reflect on the week that they've had and the work that they've done to see if they're happy on it. I think it's the best way to develop yourself, but the reason why I like it so much is it also promotes autonomy and autonomous consultants. In my opinion, the best kind of consultants are free thinking, problem solving, intelligent consultant, and you don't get that from giving them scripts or micromanaging them or not having them kind of self-review and self-reflect. So that's where it kind of plays a big part in my business, because that's the kind of consultants that I want.
Amazing. Okay. So we've gone through like these 4 bits that you said are really important for the 12 weeks. What does the journey from sort of 180 to 360, how do they how do they move through that? Do they move through that?
Yeah, well, we really only focus on 360. Like everyone's a 360. I've got one person who's classed as 180, but she's not really 180. She signs clients. She sold 2 retainers last week. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But we start everyone with candidates. I suppose you could say they're starting kind of like a 180, because we really believe in, like what I said, the product and having great product. And then once they've got the product, then they'll move into selling that and pitching that to the market, which is where we get the 360 transition. If someone really wanted to be 180, that I wouldn't have a problem with it. But in our business, it's kind of looked at as like, why would you... We do 50-50 splits. Any split's 50-50. I don't believe in devaluing someone's work with a candidate or someone's work with a client. Like everything's 50-50. But in our kind of business, how we view it is, why would you give 50% of your fee away when you could just do it yourself and get all the commission? So yeah, that's mainly why we're 360. And I think it's good to have 360s. Like then in my opinion, 360 consultants are like goated, like unbelievable. Like, can do everything. They can manage clients, they can BD, win candidates, understand good CVs, objection handle, negotiate contracts, negotiate with like, why would you not want to do that? They can do everything.
Do you think there's a point at which people max out? So like, or where I can only manage so many clients, and therefore like some of the candidate stuff falls by the wayside, or vice versa?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's something that I wonder all the time myself, because you see people, don't you, on LinkedIn, like, I build £2 million on my own this year, and you're like, fuck, how'd you do that? Like, what am I doing wrong? But there's always people that are going to be doing better, and you just need to not worry about that too much. But I don't know what the limit is, because I'm still trying to find it myself. I haven't had a massive year personally this year. Like I built like 400k this year, but then you've got to bear in mind in that time as well, I opened 2 offices, I've hired 11 staff, like trained them all. Like Would I build like £1 million? Probably. Did I? No. Am I happy with what I did instead? Yes. So in all honesty, I don't know where the limit of a 360 is. I think it's really down to the individual, their personal circumstances, and how willing they are to kind of commit everything to what they're going to do.
Yeah, and I think it's about finding what's right for your business, right? And we have this discussion a lot of, should people be 180 and specialise in one skill set? Should they have a more rounded skill set and be 360? There's lots of people making a case for this, like 120 or like the 270 model. I think it's about finding what's right for your business.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got experience in 2 markets, and I'm only ever going to do one market forever now. So I can't comment about other markets, but I think you're right on that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I suppose the final piece of this, when it comes to your team and your consultants, once they've moved through this and they've done your 12 weeks and they're coming to like a 360 consultant, they're interacting with clients. What's like your way of doing things? What like your non-negotiables? What does good BD or serving your clients? What does that look like?
Well, the thing that I drive on the most is that if you want to be in the top 1%, which everyone does, like if they say they don't, they're lying, like everyone does, you need to be doing things that 99% of people aren't doing. So we take the same approach to like our recruitment process. So everything that we do, we want to be doing stuff that we know other people aren't doing. For example, our process is, I know it's really cheeky, but I get our clients to send me all of the communications, CV submissions, how they managed the process, what was the interview feedback like for our competitors to me, so that I can review all the time what does our work look like compared to the competitors. And most of the time it's much better. But for example, when we say, to give you an example, we'll say when we win a job and we deliver on that job, with the client, we have a briefing meeting with them where we fully qualify the role. We've got 30 key points that we're looking to qualify on that role. They don't need to do anything other than spend 30 minutes with us to give us all that. We don't need job descriptions. We don't need anything. Like, we just speak with them for 30 minutes. And then how well trained our consultants are, they're going to be able to fully understand that and qualify that to a T from that meeting. From that meeting, we will then set a profile call where we will be presenting the profiles to them. I go absolutely mental if someone ever just sends a CV to a client. Like, no, we never ever do that. That's a big no-no. We only present CVs, whether that's in person or on Teams meetings. After that, we'll pre-book interviews, pre-book feedback calls, both with candidate and client. Should have mentioned the profile call, maximum amount of time is 72 hours. So if we win the job on a Monday, like, we're going to be there presenting profiles and booking interviews Wednesday or Thursday.
Sorry, you've got an interesting story about this, haven't you?
Which one?
Didn't you have a client refuse to work with you?
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah, it's mental. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But that, again, that's the cultural difference between UK and Sweden. When this is before we had the Swedish office, so we were there pitching, all going great, and then the client said to us, okay, how this was a talent acquisition manager, so I think they're a bit fuming that they've been doing it for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks or whatever, and we were there like, yeah, cool, 48 hours, say it's Monday, but like Wednesday we'll have you all the profiles. And then she was like, how will you do that? Like, I don't understand. And then we went through all of the pre-qualified candidates we've got on our database, like our process, like how we aren't afraid to cold call, like how we resource. So I went through the process properly. She said, okay, but what if that doesn't work? And then I turned around and I was like, look, I'm telling you now, I will not do anything other than this for the next 48 hours. And she was like, oh, but what about like your employees? I was like, look, they can do whatever they like. And then the employer I was with at the time was like, look, I'll be sat here with him doing nothing else other than this until this is done. And they turned around and were like, you work your employees too hard and we're not going to work with you. And I was like, and then the consultant who I was pitching for them couldn't believe it either. They were like, what the hell were we meant to say? Sorry, we'll do a half-assed job, but we'll be happy. So work with us. But yeah, that was tough. yeah,
unique.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I interrupted you there. I did a bit of a flashback.
no problem. But yeah, so 48 hour to 72 hour delivery. Then when we have the interview processes, we pre-book all the interview time. So we manage all the calendars for the clients. We have feedback calls with candidate and client booked straight after. The client receives the very detailed interview feedback from the candidate that we take within 2 hours of the interview. We manage the full process. We can do a full recruitment process with 3 interviews in the space of 14 days with full feedback. Everyone's referenced before, and the best bit as well is we have 2 interviews with every single candidate before. This is like a golden tip, and I really don't know if I should be saying this, but I'm not gonna tell you how I sell it because I'm giving all my secrets away. But we do have 2 interviews with every candidate before we submit them, and our process is so in depth that we submit all of our interview notes. We know our clients very well. The clients that we work with on long-term basis remove the need for first stage interviews when they work with us. Imagine how much time and cost that saves them over a year. Say we're like where we're doing a big RPO, like I don't know, 30, 40 position RPO. Imagine how much time all those managers would have wasted on first stage interviews. And we're just like, wow, have all that time back.
Yeah, that's is incredible. Like lots of people have heard me talk about like the 4 levels of engagement, but that third one of like real return on investment of working with a recruiter, it's that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that I can calculate how many hours we've saved you as a business.
Yeah.
I think that's where you elevate this beyond finding CVs and
yeah. Well,
candidates.
I've been saying for ages now, about 2 years, 3 years, that recruitment's going to be replaced by some LinkedIn AI recruiter bot. So you better be getting fucking good at your job, because otherwise you're going to be getting replaced by AI. I think it's like 4 months ago, LinkedIn have now released this AI recruitment thing that I've been saying is going to happen for years, and it's only available to end clients. It's not available to recruitment companies. You can see what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I know this probably sounds a bit like doomsday, but I'm so believed that in the next 5 to 10 years, like 80% of recruiters will be out of the job, and it will be the ones that just send CVs, don't have good process, don't provide value. So if it was me, well, I do this, but if I was someone listening to this, I would just purely be focused on that. How can I get my service as absolutely amazing, best in market as possible, so that I know it's so good, it's so personal, it's so detailed, it's got so many things that AI recruiters sending CVs and booking interviews couldn't replace me.
I love that. So my final question then is, you said they're about the next 5 to 10 years.
Who's going to win the Premier League? No.
I don't think it'd be Arsenal. I don't know, this is recorded now, so you can come back and see if I'm right.
Or cry.
Yeah, my final question then, you said they're about like, this is maybe where we are in 10 years' time. What do you think the next 12 months look like? Not just for your business, but the recruitment industry in general. What do you think the next 12 months look like?
That's really tough, because again, like one of the things I've found is since running a business, you're always preparing for the worst. You're on the outside, you're so optimistic. You fill everyone with absolute optimism, but behind closed doors, you'll be like, "Fuck! What are all the things that could go wrong, and how am I preparing against them?" So like, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit worried about a recession next year because of how the stock market is today and what's going on in the US. But I do think that it's all a bit doomsday and it's not really going to happen. It's not going to be as bad as we think. And I think that next year should be a good year for recruitment. Everyone that I speak to tells me 2024 has been tough, like a real tough year. And I'm sure everyone's heard it loads before. It's coming off the boom of the COVID pandemic. You mentioned that I didn't go on furlough. Like I just had an absolute blinder during and thought recruitment's the easiest job in the world. And since I've had to learn, it's actually quite a bit harder. But I think it will be a good year for recruiters who focus on quality and can provide true value to their clients. There's going to be a lot more AI. So if you're just doing the bare minimum of sending CVs and booking interviews, you need to really start upping your game and improving your process. And then I think there's also going to be a lot more integration of AI into recruitment businesses. There's a lot of recruitment AI technologies, but I think there needs to be a few kind of clear winners in it. It's almost like the .com bubble where there's so many internet companies and internet businesses. You need the Amazons and the Googles and the Facebooks to come through. like with recruitment, AI technologies, but I think that will happen. There'll be a few leaders, and then it will be about implementing that and using that in the right way to benefit your business and make you a better recruiter.
I love that. Brilliant. Nick, thanks for your time today. If anyone's listening to this and they're based in Sweden and they think I'd love to be part of
Or
building,
Essex.
or in Essex,
Or London.
or Denmark, or anywhere, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Nicholas Thomas, or you can contact us on info@everhire.se. SES for sugar, E for echo.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.